Gentlemen, I need to speak to you plainly today because what I am about to share with you could genuinely change the trajectory of your health for the next decade. In my 12 years as a urologist, I have watched men make the same 10 mistakes over and over again. Mistakes that seem harmless, mistakes that feel normal because everyone around them is making them too. But these are the exact habits that silently steal a man's vitality, his confidence, his performance, and his quality of life after 50. And number 7, I want to tell you right now, is the one that almost every man I have ever treated was guilty of, and almost none of them knew it was a problem. I'm Dr. Amanda Brooks, a board-certified urologist with over 12 years of experience helping men over 60 reclaim their strength, their dignity, and their vitality. I have worked with thousands of men who walked into my office believing that what they were experiencing, the fatigue, the decline, the slow erosion of the man they used to be, was simply aging. It was not aging. It was a collection of correctable mistakes, and today we are going through all 10 of them. Before we dive in, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button right now and drop a comment below telling me where in the world you are watching from. I work with men from every country, every background, every walk of life, and knowing who is in this community genuinely matters to me. 2 seconds of your time could help another man find this information. Now let us set the stage because I want you to understand exactly why these mistakes matter so much more after 50 than they did at 30 or 40. After the age of 50, 3 major biological shifts occur simultaneously in the male body, and together they create a window of vulnerability that most men are completely unaware of. First, testosterone begins declining at roughly 1 to 2% per year, and this is not just about desire or performance. Testosterone governs muscle maintenance, bone density, cardiovascular health, mood stability, and the physiological systems that define how a man feels in his own body. Second, the prostate begins to enlarge under the influence of DHT, a potent derivative of testosterone. And this enlargement creates downstream pressure on the urinary system, the pelvic floor, and circulation. Third, nitric oxide production, the molecule responsible for relaxing and opening blood vessels, drops sharply, meaning that circulation throughout the body, including to the tissues that depend on it most, becomes increasingly compromised. Think of it this way. After 50, a man's body is like a high-performance vehicle that has been running hard for decades. The engine is still powerful, but the maintenance requirements change. What you could get away with at 35 will absolutely catch up with you at 60 if you are not paying attention. The 10 mistakes I am about to share are the equivalent of ignoring your warning lights. Let us go through every single one. Mistake number 1 is sitting for more than 6 consecutive hours without movement. I know this sounds almost too simple to be a real medical concern, but the data on sedentary behavior and male urological health is genuinely alarming. When a man sits for prolonged periods, pelvic floor circulation is compressed, venous blood pools in the perineal region, and the tissues surrounding the prostate and the penile vasculature are deprived of the oxygenated blood flow they need to stay healthy. Over time, this compression contributes to pelvic floor dysfunction, worsened erectile function, and accelerated prostate enlargement. Think of your pelvic circulation like a garden hose. If you are sitting on it for 6, 7, 8 hours a day, the pressure cannot get through. The fix is simple. Every 45 to 60 minutes, stand, walk for 2 to 3 minutes, and allow circulation to restore. A standing desk, a short walk around the block, even standing during phone calls makes a measurable difference. Mistake number 2 is ignoring hydration. Most men over 50 are chronically mildly dehydrated and do not know it. The sensation of thirst diminishes with age. The body's signal becomes quieter even as the need becomes greater. Dehydration concentrates urine, which increases urinary urgency, irritates the bladder lining, worsens prostate symptoms, and raises the concentration of inflammatory compounds circulating in prostatic tissue. It also thickens the blood, reducing circulation efficiency throughout the body. The target for most men over 50 is a minimum of 2 to 2.5 liters of water daily, ideally spread across the day rather than consumed in large quantities at once. I remember a patient named Dennis, 66, a retired contractor. He came to me with significant urinary urgency and frequency. He was visiting the bathroom 8 to 10 times daily. His prostate was mildly enlarged, but not severely so. When I asked about his fluid intake, he told me he drank maybe 2 or 3 glasses of water a day, mostly coffee. We made one change: adequate daily hydration with a reduction in caffeine. 6 weeks later, his urgency had decreased by more than half. He called my office and said, "I can't believe something that simple made that much difference." Hydration is not glamorous, but it is foundational. Mistake number 3 is consuming excessive alcohol, particularly beer. This is one I know is difficult for many men to hear, but it must be said. Beer contains phytoestrogens, plant-based compounds that mimic estrogen in the human body. In men over 50, whose testosterone is already declining, regular beer consumption can tip the hormonal balance further toward estrogen dominance, which accelerates prostate growth, reduces libido, and contributes to fatigue and mood changes. Beyond the hormonal effect, alcohol is a direct vasodilator followed by a vascular rebound constriction, meaning it temporarily improves circulation and then significantly worsens it, which is why alcohol is one of the most commonly overlooked contributors to erectile dysfunction in older men. If you enjoy a drink, red wine in moderation is a significantly better choice. But daily beer consumption after 50 is silently working against you. Mistake number 4 is neglecting the pelvic floor. Most men have never heard of Kegel exercises. They assume those are for women after childbirth. They are not. The pelvic floor is a hammock of muscles that supports the bladder, prostate, and rectum, and its strength directly governs urinary control, the quality of erections, and the intensity of orgasm. After 50, without deliberate exercise, the pelvic floor weakens. The result is urinary leakage, reduced erectile rigidity, and a general loss of pelvic function that most men attribute to age rather than to muscle atrophy. 10 to 15 Kegel contractions daily, squeeze, hold for 5 seconds, release, will maintain and rebuild pelvic floor strength. It takes 3 minutes, it costs nothing, and the results, over 8 to 12 weeks of consistency, are often dramatic. I had a patient named Harold, 70, a retired postal worker. He had been experiencing urinary leakage for 3 years and had quietly stopped going to social events because of it. He was embarrassed, isolated, and deeply discouraged. When I explained the pelvic floor and introduced Kegel exercises, he was skeptical. 12 weeks later, he came back a different man. He told me, "I went to my grandson's birthday party last weekend. First time in 2 years, I wasn't worried the whole time." Pelvic floor strength is not optional after 60. Mistake number 5 is using anti-inflammatory medications like ibuprofen on a daily basis. Many men over 50 take over-the-counter NSAIDs regularly for joint pain, back pain, or general inflammation. What most do not realize is that chronic NSAID use significantly impairs kidney function, raises blood pressure, and, critically, suppresses testosterone production. Research has shown that regular ibuprofen use is associated with hypogonadism, a condition of reduced testicular testosterone output, in men who use it consistently for as little as 6 weeks. There are far safer approaches to chronic inflammation: omega-3 fatty acids, turmeric with black pepper, magnesium, and targeted physical therapy that address the underlying cause, rather than masking it with compounds that carry real hormonal cost. Quick pause before we continue, because mistake number 6 is something I want to set up properly. Mistake number 6 is eating a high-sugar processed food diet. I know this has been said 1,000 times, but I want to explain what sugar and processed foods specifically do to male urological health, because the mechanism is something most men have never heard explained clearly. Excess dietary sugar drives insulin resistance. Insulin resistance raises estrogen relative to testosterone. Elevated estrogen stimulates prostate tissue growth, accelerates benign prostatic hyperplasia, and contributes to the vascular inflammation that underlies erectile dysfunction. At the same time, advanced glycation end products, the compounds formed when sugar binds to proteins in the body, directly damage the endothelial lining of blood vessels, impairing nitric oxide production and reducing vascular flexibility throughout the body. A diet high in refined sugar is not just a weight problem. It is a hormonal problem and a vascular problem that affects every aspect of male urological function. And now, mistake number 7. This is the one I see in nearly every patient over 60 who comes to me with declining vitality, diminished performance, and a prostate that is aging faster than it should. Mistake number 7 is chronic sleep deprivation, consistently sleeping fewer than 6.5 hours per night. Here is why this matters more than almost anything else on this list. The majority of a man's daily testosterone is produced during deep, slow-wave sleep, not during rest, not during light sleep, during deep sleep specifically. When sleep is shortened or fragmented, testosterone production falls, growth hormone release is blunted, cortisol remains elevated through the following day, and the body never fully completes its overnight repair cycle. Chronically sleep-deprived men have testosterone levels comparable to men 10 years older. Their inflammation markers are elevated. Their vascular health declines faster. Their prostate health deteriorates more rapidly. And because low testosterone impairs sleep quality, creating further disruption, the cycle feeds itself. If there is one thing I would tell every man over 50 to prioritize above every supplement, every exercise routine, and every dietary change, it is this: protect your sleep. 7 to 9 hours in a dark, cool room at a consistent time every night. I think of a patient named Arthur, 63, an executive who had been sleeping 5 to 6 hours a night for over a decade. He came to me with low testosterone, an enlarged prostate, and significant fatigue. His labs looked like a man in his mid-70s. We did not start with medication. We started with sleep. Over 3 months, as his sleep improved through deliberate sleep hygiene changes, his testosterone rose naturally, his inflammatory markers dropped, and he told me he felt 20 years younger. He said, "I thought I was just getting old. I was just tired." Mistake number 8 is smoking or using any tobacco product. The evidence here is unambiguous. Nicotine is one of the most potent vasoconstrictors known to medicine. It directly damages the endothelial lining of blood vessels, impairs nitric oxide synthesis, and accelerates the vascular disease that underlies erectile dysfunction. Men who smoke are 40% more likely to experience significant erectile dysfunction than non-smokers. Smoking also increases the risk of prostate cancer progression and is associated with more aggressive prostate disease in men who develop it. If you are still using tobacco at 50, 60, or 70, stopping is the single most impactful decision you can make for your urological health. Mistake number 9 is avoiding regular PSA testing and prostate examinations out of fear or embarrassment. I understand this one deeply. Many men avoid these screenings because they are afraid of what they might find. But I want to reframe this completely. Early-stage prostate cancer, found through routine screening, has a near-perfect survival rate. Late-stage prostate cancer, found because a man avoided his screenings, is an entirely different situation. The test takes minutes. The peace of mind it provides is immeasurable. The information it gives your doctor is irreplaceable. Going in for your annual prostate screening is not a sign of weakness. It is the most powerful thing a man can do for his own health and for the people who love him. Mistake number 10 is isolating yourself and avoiding intimacy out of embarrassment or shame. This is perhaps the most human mistake on this list, and the one that carries the most hidden cost. When men experience changes in their sexual function or performance, the most common response is withdrawal from their partner, from conversations, from help. But isolation raises cortisol, reduces oxytocin, and removes the relational context that supports hormonal health. Regular physical intimacy, including ejaculation, has been shown to reduce prostate inflammation, support healthy PSA levels, and maintain the pelvic vascular activity that protects erectile function. Shame is not protective. Connection is. Asking for help is not a failure. It is the most intelligent thing a man can do. So here is your simple action plan. First, audit your daily habits against this list and identify your top 3 mistakes, the ones you know you are making right now. Second, pick one to address this week, not all 10 at once. 1. Sleep, hydration, movement, pelvic floor exercises, whatever is most immediately relevant to you. Third, schedule your prostate screening if you have not had one in the past year. Call your doctor's office today, not tomorrow. I want you to hear this directly from me. If you have been frustrated, embarrassed, or quietly ashamed of the changes you have noticed in your body after 50, you are not broken. You are not failing. You are a man whose body is responding to habits and circumstances that can be understood and changed. I have seen men in their 70s reverse years of decline with straightforward, consistent changes. The body's capacity to respond and recover does not disappear with age. It simply requires more intentional support. And you are clearly willing to provide that support because you are here, watching, asking the questions that matter. If this video gave you something useful today, give it a like so other men can find it. Leave a comment below. Tell me which of these 10 mistakes you are going to address first. Share this with a man in your life who needs to hear it. You might be the reason he makes a change that adds years to his quality of life. And subscribe for weekly evidence-based health guidance made specifically for men over 50. I'm Dr. Amanda Brooks, reminding you that after 50, vitality is not lost. It is simply waiting to be reclaimed. Take care of yourselves, gentlemen, and I will see you in the next one.